Back when Blue Sky Studios was around, they may have had the Ice Age franchise, but all their other movies were standalones, aside from Rio, that is. So let's revisit the Rio duology, since one movie was a solid entry for the company, while the other was one of their worst. Should the birds fly free, or better off flightless in cages? We shall see. As usual, before taking off to the review, I need to give you a spoiler alert, because caring for the viewers is what I do. Lift up your wings, since it's time to samba our way to Carnival and then the Amazon. Hey, I'm Owen, the fiction fanboy, and here's my double review on Rio and Rio 2. The first flick starts with Blue hatching from his egg, and all the other birds in Rio sung and flew about how great the place was, inspiring Blue to try flying, but suddenly, all the birds got captured, including Blue, and a deal involving money was made. In Minnesota, Blue fell out of the truck and a girl named Linda took him in, raising the bird. As years went by, they did many things together, mainly being Linda's helper in the bookstore. After two geese mocked Blue, ornithologist Tullio invited him and Linda to Rio de Janeiro, so Blue, the last male Spix macaw, can meet the last female of the same species. At first, Linda and Blue decline, especially since Blue is flightless, but upon trying to fly later, and failing, they reconsider. Along the way, Blue meets red-crested Cardinal Pedro and yellow canary Nico, who give Blue love advice as Carnival performers pass by. When arriving at the aviary, we see many birds, including the ill-looking sulfur-crested cockatoo Nigel. Blue meets Jewel, the female bird of the same species he's meant to be with, but she wasn't interested. In fact, she's trying to escape. Believing the two blue birds would be alright, Linda and Tullio go out for dinner, with Silvio guarding the bird enclosure. While the main humans are out, Nigel attacks Silvio and let lonely boy Fernando take the bluebird duo to a group of smugglers led by Marcel. After seeing Linda sad about the bird napping, Fernando got paid very little, and Marcel lies about what'll happen to the birds as he overheard the truth after he was dismissed. The birds would actually get involved in a black market deal. Blue and Jewel would be taken to where loads of other caged birds are. Henchmen Armando and Tipa were told to load the birds for departure as well as feed Nigel, and Nigel sang a song of the pain the pretty birds would feel as he lost a TV program role to one. However, the bluebirds managed to get out of their cage and had to flee on foot as Jewel learned Blue can't fly. Nigel, Armando, and Tipa chased them down, but the birds reached the jungle and Nigel accidentally caused a temporary blackout. As the bluebirds found shelter at Vista Chinesa, Linda and Tullio made lost posters for Blue. Fernando decided to take the adults to him, whereas Armando and Tipa painted two chickens blue, hoping they'd fool Marcel, but didn't, and had Nigel look for the real bluebirds. In turn, Nigel hired a band of thieving marmosets to be the eyes in the sky. Blue and Jewel met Toko Toucan's Raphael along with his family after a plan to break the chains failed, as Rafi had a friend who could remove the chains stuck on the birds. Rafi tries teaching Blue how to fly, and while it backfires, they survive through plenty of bumping, landing on a beach, and they instead ride a fruit truck. Luis may not have been at the fruit market, yet Pedro and Nico were, and they said Luis went home. So Nico and Pedro took the bluebirds to a party where the samba duo had their song, and Blue's feelings for Jewel increased when she sang, but the moment ended when the monkeys arrived. The bluebirds, samba duo, and Rafi take a trolley while the other birds fight the monkeys as the latter loses. The smugglers decided to be in the parade. The bluebirds weren't in the lair, and Fernando helped the smugglers with their chicken float. The other birds try to make things romantic for the bluebirds, yet it gets awkward, and they reach Luis, who's a bulldog, and got the chains off the bluebirds. Unfortunately, they parted ways, and Nigel captured Jewel, convincing Blue to rescue her. Since Carnival began, Linda and Tullio also became performers, and Blue briefly saw Linda, yet chose to get Jewel first. Alas, Nigel knew he and his friends were coming. The human allies tried stopping the smugglers, but they already flew off the plane. Blue managed to free himself, Jewel, and the other birds, yet as Blue was anxious, Nigel threw Jewel to the side, causing the cage to fall and break her wing. Though despite Blue being in Nigel's claws, he hooked a fire extinguisher to the former star, making him fly into a plane's propellers, breaking the plane. The smugglers barely escaped. Blue took a leap of faith and started flying to save Jewel from falling into the sea and flew to the humans. Tulio healed Jewel's wing. The humans started a bird sanctuary. Linda and Tulio were an item and adopted Fernando, and so did Rula Jewel along with birthing 3 kids. The birds stunned about their new home. Nigel lost most of his feathers and got ridiculed by the monkeys, and the smugglers were imprisoned. This was a good motion picture. Neat animation, splendid vocal work in terms of voice acting and singing, especially Anne Hathaway and Janine Clement. Nice music, interesting characters, and it's one of the best films from Blue Sky. That said, it wasn't much of a high bar to clear. The storytelling could have been a bit better, and the comedy is hit or miss. Now that the original film's been taken care of, we shall get to the sequel, and the scores will be revealed in a jiffy. The sequel begins with Blue and Jewel celebrating the new year while Raffi watched their kids, but he left them with Louise, who left them with Tiny. The kids had Tiny strapped to fireworks they would launch, and despite saving Tiny, Blue ended up getting launched into the sky with the fireworks instead. Linda and Tulio were in the Amazon and saw a Spix macaw zoom by. Believing there are more of them out there, they venture in the area to find them. Jewel found a Brazil nut to feed the kids, but she saw them with Blue making pancakes. Also, the Bluebird family saw the news on TV regarding the discovery Linda and Tulio made. Jewel suggests going to the Amazon to help find their kind and leave the human stuff behind, whereas the big boss of illegal loggers wanted to destroy the wildlife. Raffi, Nico, and Pedro tag along to find the Bluebird flock so they can search for talent worthy of being at Carnival, and Luis tries following them, though is left behind, for now. After a brief travel montage of the Bluebirds, we see that Nigel is now a flightless bird with a fortune teller job. Upon seeing Blue and Jewel, he sought revenge and escaped by releasing Gabby, the poison dart frog, who's in love with him, and riding on Charlie, the silent anteater. The Bluebird family spends the night on a tour boat with Nigel's crew also on board. Nigel planned to get his revenge at midnight, yet he fell asleep, so Gabby's saying about her love for him, but how she can't touch him due to how poisonous she is. Nigel woke up after Gabby's song, and would have gotten what he wanted if not for Charlie trying to get more ants and accidentally honking the boat's horn, causing Team Nigel to flee. Meanwhile, Big Boss continued his business of ruining the wildlife and wants Linda and Tulio gotten rid of. The Bluebird family finally arrived at the Amazon, which appeared to be empty at first, yet they were taken to see the many Spix macaws who hid in their secret paradise land. In the flock was Jewel's older sister, stern father, and childhood friend, Mimi, Eduardo, and Roberto. Eduardo thanks Blue for bringing his daughter home, as well as meet his grandkids, and they all have a reunion, though Nigel saw them and vowed to poop on their party promptly. The Bluebird family slept at Roberto's home for the night, yet in the morning, Eduardo had Blue ditch the fanny pack to make him fit in with the wild bird pack via training. As that happens, Nico and Pedro, the former having his soda cap hat confiscated, continue searching for talented birds who should perform at Carnival, with neither group having much luck. Nigel is disguised as a new bird named Bob, and his rapping with Gabby's singing scored the baddies a spot in the show, planning to have Blue come to him at the talent show. Blue and Eduardo rant about one another to their colleagues, and Blue tries getting a Brazil nut to impress Jewel. However, when he got one after a monkey mishap, little did he realize he was in Scarlet Macaw territory, rival of the Spix macaws, and Eduardo told Blue about them and staying within their areas earlier. Blue apologized, yet accidentally hit Felipe, leader of the Redbirds, who declared war at the Pit of Doom noontime. Eduardo had Roberto get his best birds. Big Boss ties Linda and Tulio to a tree, and their war is a soccer-esque activity. Blue started out as a water boy, though becomes a player when other teammates ran out. When the game was tied, Blue unknowingly scored a goal for the opposing team, making the Scarlet Macaws win. Jewel and Blue argued, with the former believing the latter is selfish and the latter not fitting in. Roberto followed Blue into Linda's campsite and accused him of being a traitor for siding with humans. Nevertheless, Blue saved Roberto from a tractor that nearly ran him over, and while Roberto warns his tribe, Blue saves Linda and Tulio and then persuades the tribe to fight for their home. With extra aid from the Scarlet Macaws and other animals, they defeated the loggers, yet Big Boss attempted to use dynamite to destroy the trees. Blue stole the dynamite. Nigel went after him, revealing himself in the process. They survived the explosion. Gabby took the opportunity to finish Blue, yet backfired and thought she mistakenly killed Nigel, so she supposedly committed suicide, but neither of them actually died, since Gabby really isn't poisonous. Nigel tried one last attack, but a love-struck Gabby grabbed him. Tulio sent them back to Rio. A huge snake ate Big Boss. Luis finally reached the Amazon, and the Bluebird family stay in their new home under Linda's protection, with summers in Rio. This flick was slightly below decent in my point of view. Most pros from the original apply here as well, mainly the animation and voice acting. Sadly, so do the cons, yet on a grander scale, as I didn't exactly care about the villain. Nigel lost some of his charm. Jokes had more misses than hits. Way too many plot lines going on, and despite thinking it's not atrocious or anything, it's one of Blue Sky's weakest films. Okay, time to give ratings. Rio will be receiving 4 out of 5 stars. Rio 2 shall get 3.5 out of 5 stars. And that means the overall score is 3 3/4 out of 5 stars. I say I do and don't miss the Rio franchise, as I wouldn't mind watching the first flick every once in a while, and the sequel was forgettable. Take off into the blue sky in different directions. Want the fiction to spread? Then please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notifications. Don't forget to also comment below and follow me on Instagram for teasers and thumbnail previews of future YouTube videos. Thanks for watching, look forward to seeing you again, and have a good night-o!